Hi, I'm Andrew, and this is Legions of Mayhem.
And I'm Dave, and we are with Stratical Games.
And this is an instructional video on how to play our game.
Okay, and basically with the game, Andrew's been developing this game since he was 12 years old. We've played it with friends, neighbors, co-workers, and we took it also to SaltCon. Got some great feedback. This is our 12th iteration or version.
Third year
of the game. Third year doing it. So I'm play tested over 150 times. At SaltCon we got some great feedback from two guys named Jason Cameron. They suggested we had cards to track everything, but now they recommended this health dial that Andrew actually developed. He did 3D modeling and design at school, and actually clicks your health. There's a nice click there to reduce your health. So we'll talk more about that later. So let's talk about first the setup of the game. This is the barracks here. We have the reserves. We have the gameplay board. There are 4 deployment squares where you deploy warriors.
Do you want to zoom in?
On the sides. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, we each get 4 deployment squares. To start, we'll have everything in the vault.
Okay.
4 gold in the earnings.
And so we have the 4 areas also on the resources sheet here. We have the vault, earnings, discard, and graveyard. At the beginning of every turn, you have to remember to get 2 golds. The golds go into your earnings, and then if you forget to get them at the beginning, you forfeit your 2 gold. So it only takes about a game or so to remember that. Once you purchase something, say I purchase something with 4, let's say, then I would put the 4 back into here, into the vault, right? And then every time I can gradually get more. So once you use something, if I use like a health potion here, I put it into...
You'd have to like buy it.
I buy it, that's 1 action. There's 3 actions we'll talk about in just a minute. But, and then when I'm done, I put it in the discard and it can't be used again. If I capture one of Andrew's warriors, I put it in the graveyard and it's dead. Once it's dead, it cannot come back to life again. Now to start the game, we each choose 2 warriors. So you can choose your warriors, and we'll put them onto the field. I'm going to choose a archer and a dwarf, and chose a spearman and a dwarf also. Okay, and then actually to win the game, there are 2 ways to win. One is if I capture 9 of Andrew's warriors. I've got 9 of them in the graveyard, I win. If I land one of my guys, if I land on his castle, then I also win. And also if my catapult captures his castle with a direct hit, I also win the game. Okay, but that actually counts as if I capture in tournament play. If I capture the castle, it counts as 2 wins for the tournament. The tournament is best of 3, and you win. Okay.
Yeah. All right. 3 actions per turn. All right. So you have 3 actions per turn. We already have 2 warriors in the reserve. Did we mention you gain 2 gold at the beginning of every turn? That's not an action. You can actually buy something for an action. I could buy a health potion, or that'd be 1 action, or an attack enhancer. Another action is I could buy a swordsman or a warrior, any warrior except for the giant. He'd go into the reserve. That's 1 action.
Another. And then move his coins up.
Yeah, move it back. Swordsman is 3 gold, so I'd move it into there. Another action is to deploy it onto one of these 4 squares of your side of the field. That's 1 example. More things you can do is you can gain 1 gold for an action if you want to. Also, purchasing a catapult, 1 action.
And you could also gain 3 golds if you want to use all 3 actions to get extra gold.
Yeah. Shooting with an archer. The archer is the only character that has ranged attack. Shooting would be 1 action with her.
So 3 shots would be 3 actions. Also moving your moving your warrior forward. So if you move it, you move your warrior forward or sideways, or however it moves. That's also one action, but it can only be moved once per turn.
Yeah. Another thing is you could move and attack it, and that would be one action. It's not two separate actions for moving and attacking, just one.
And for attacking, like Andrew showed, the attacker has to land on them to attack. So you go 1, 2, it lands on them.
Yeah. The archer has the benefit of ranged attack and just landing on them. She can do both. Other warriors just have to land on them. Alright, so for movement rules, let's say I spend one action to deploy the spearman onto the field. I can, so I'm going to look at his speed. The speed says 3 squares. So I can move him in any combination of 3 squares, and that does not include diagonals. So I could go move 1, 2, 3 squares. I could move up to 3 squares. I could go 1, 2. Now, although that looks like it's diagonal, I spent 2 squares instead of 1 square to just move diagonal. So
it could go 1 or 2 or 3 squares, since that's a speed of 3.
Yeah, you could go backwards, any direction. All right, let's say my dad has his dwarf on the field right here. I couldn't jump over the dwarf for an action.
Or you can't jump over your own warrior either.
Yeah. You'd have to just move around it. So that's how movement rules is. Each warrior has a different speed that you'll want to look at. Next up is attack rules. So we're going to do 2 scenarios. Examples of attacking. We're going to have the dwarf again on the field and the swordsman. So let's say my swordsman comes up and lands on the dwarf to attack the dwarf. So my swordsman has 40 attack. So that means your dwarf takes 40 attack. So 60 minus 40 would be 20.
Okay, so the dwarf would go down from 60 down to 20. Okay, but the swordsman.
Yeah, the swordsman takes the attack from the dwarf too.
The attack is at the top,
60.
so 60.
So 50 minus 60 is below 0.
So you just go to 0 at the skull, and he's gone.
He'd be sent to your graveyard.
Sent to the graveyard. Now the opposite is true. So if let's return our health back to normal. And now let's say the dwarf attacks the swordsman. So if the dwarf goes here, so it's the dwarf stays on the field and the swordsman is off. So the dwarf occupies the swordsman's space.
It'd still take the spearman out. Yeah, the dwarf would still take the 40 damage from the spearman. So it'd go down to
the swordsman
20.
is also at 0.
Yeah. Okay, so that's an example of attack rules. Another example is, can I have one of your spearmen? Alright, let's go right here. Okay, so they're both at full health, which is 40. If I were to move my spearman up and attack my dad's spearman, I do, as you can see, I do 20 to his spearman.
20 here, and my spearman moves back a square. He retreats back a square.
I think is that right? Right here,
Well,
I think.
Whatever he lands on, he moves back a square.
Yeah, so my spearman would also take 20 since that's his spearman's attack. So that's an example. That's how retreat rules work. Another example of retreat rules, is...
Let's say they're back at full health. Well, you're not going to move back to full health, but... Or just another scenario.
Yeah, so if I landed on his spearman, we both take 20.
But since I'm at the edge of the board...
He can't really move back.
I can't move backwards, so yours just stays here, so he can't retreat anymore. He's already there. If there's another warrior behind him, the same thing, or if the castle's behind him, the same thing, he can't move back anymore. He just stays there.
Yeah, if I moved like that and attacked, I'd still just go the square in front of the warrior back towards my castle. Yeah, that's how attacking works. We'll explain how the archer works, and she when she shoots a warrior, that's not considered attacking. But if she lands on a warrior, that is attacking.
Okay. All right. Talking about who goes first. To know who goes first, you play rock, paper, scissors 3 times. Best of 3 wins. And then the person who won the rock, paper, scissors, they have to put their warriors out first. Even though they get to go first, they put them out first in the reserve. So I get to see, like if Andrew won, I would get to see what he put, and then I would get to choose accordingly to put my players into the reserve.
That's an advantage there. But then I would also go first. So I choose first and go first.
Yep. Okay, so now let's talk about the items or the potions here. So if I want to, let's see, I had 60 here. If I want to buy a health potion here, now let's say my warrior or my spearman here is at 20, and I want to buy a health potion. Health potions, it has right here in the barracks the price. Health potions cost 40, so I spend this, I buy 40, I get a health potion, that's 1 action. Or 4, I mean, yeah, I get 4 coins. and I get a health potion, that's 1 action. For him to use it, he drinks it, then I put it in the discard, I can't use it again, and then he goes up 20. So instead of being at 20, he would be now back up to 40.
If I can also add, the health potion cannot boost a warrior's health above their maximum health. So even if it was at 30, it would just, and I wanted to boost his health, it would only boost him up to 40 health.
Yeah, total. And then a health potion cannot bring a warrior back from the graveyard. Okay, so that's a health potion. Now, if I want to buy an attack enhancer, I can do that, and that costs 60. So I buy the attack enhancer. That is 1 action. Okay. Now, for a second action, let's say I got the attack enhancer against your swordsman. Yep.
Okay.
And so what I do is then I can leave this here for multiple turns. It can be waiting in the earnings until I'm ready to use it. Then when I'm ready to use it,
that's the same for all potions.
For all potions, they sit here until. Okay, and then I put it on him. Okay, that's 1 action to put it on, and then another action I can go and attack. So I can go here, attack his moves back, and then his attack right here on the top is worth 20, so it'd actually be worth 40. So his actually goes down to 40.
Yeah, so 50 minus 40.
Okay.
So.
Now, actually, he's not going to move back because he's going to actually die because his attack is worth 40 and he's worth 40, so he's actually dead. Now, it's gone. Now, let's say...
And then it'd actually go in the discard too.
Yeah, except for, we need another example. Let's see, I'm attacking yours. We should have... Yeah, okay. Actually, we're going to do it this way. So let's say I attack here. The health potion actually lasts, or the attack enhancer lasts through your turn and your opponent's turn. So let's say I attack.
They're both at full health too.
And then the attack here is worth 40, so it enhances the attack up to 60. So it goes here and occupies a space. But his health goes down, actually would be by 60, but there's only 50, so it goes down to 0. If that makes sense. So his 0.
Yeah, going to the graveyard.
My graveyard. But now if somebody else attacks him on this turn, then the attack enhancer gives him 20 extra attack. So
yeah. So it remains for his turn and for my turn. But then after, when it gets back to his turn again,
he takes it off and I put it in the discard and I can't use it. Okay. All right. So now let's talk about the giant. For me to purchase the giant, I need to have at least 1, it talks about that in the barracks here, 1 in the graveyard, which I have 2, so I can purchase a giant. And the giant costs 7, so I would need to have 7 in here. Okay, and then I could purchase the giant.
All 3 actions.
Toss all 3 actions to get him and put him in the reserve. So that's all 3 actions. I purchase, put him in the reserve. The next turn, I can then put him on the field, and then the giant can move 3 per turn, right? And that would be 1 action. Okay.
Yeah.
The giant, also his specialty, each warrior has a specialty. The giant's specialty is that all the other warriors, their attack is reduced by 10 against the giant. So the swordsman's attack is 40, so against the giant it would only be 30, right? So they would take only 30 damage.
And attack enhancers still work on the warriors.
Against the giant.
So if I put it on the swordsman, that actually do 50 to the giant. 30 plus 20 is 50. So also, if I can mention with this too, this can't enhance a warrior's specialty. Just wanted to mention that.
Meaning the archer, it still only has 3 shots.
Yeah, or like the spearman. We'll explain that.
Okay. Dwarf.
All right, the dwarf. We'll put this dwarf out. So the dwarf on its own side of the field, since it's so powerful, 60 attack and 60 health, it can move 2 squares on its own side of the field. Of course, 2 squares in any combination except diagonally. Let's say the dwarf is right here. It could move 2 squares, but once it crosses the other side of the field, it could only move 1 square per turn afterwards. If I'm right here, I could only move 1 square. I could move 2 squares over here though. So
and the dwarf here, as you can see on your barracks, the dwarf costs 5 gold and has 60 max health and 50 and 60 attack.
Yep. And then next up is the archer. So the archer is pretty nice. Yeah, let's do the giant and the dwarf. So for 1 turn, let's say my archer starts out here. I could move my archer up 2 squares. That's 1 action. And then shooting is a separate action. So each shot deals 10 damage, and you can shoot as many times as you want, as you have actions for. So I could spend 1 action to shoot your giant once. So if you want to move him down to 80, then it looks like your dwarf is at 20, so I'll shoot your dwarf once.
Goes down to 10.
And then that would be my full turn, moving and shooting twice. Let's do another example. If my archer was here, I could shoot your giant 3 times, and then he'd go down 30 health. The archer can, let's put it right here as another example. The archer can shoot up to 3 squares straight in any direction, and up to 2 squares diagonally in any direction.
Yeah. Also with the archer, its attack is 10, and all the archers get 10 less damage against the giant except the archer, because it only has 10 attack anyway, so it just stays at 10.
Yeah, all warriors do
to attack the giant.
10 less except the archer. Of course the archer can land on other warriors, but it's just normal attacking. Yeah, that's how the archer works, and we'll do the swordsman next. Okay, so if the archer were to shoot my swordsman once, I could actually spend 1 gold to block it. So that prevents me from losing 10 health, and it doesn't cost an action since it's on his turn.
Yeah, and also if I shot it 3 times, you could use 3 coins to block all 3.
But if I don't have the coins, I just have to take the hits.
Okay. All right, and the last one is
Shots.
the spearman. Let me have to get 2 of your guys in.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So the spearman's specialty here is the spearman can actually get 2 players at once if they're lined up within the line of sight of the attack. So if I go here, 1, 2, 3, instantly the first one is gone. No matter what their health is, they're dead. So you got to make sure you don't keep them in a straight line when a spearman is around. So I would capture him. Now these 2 both go down 20 each.
Yeah, the second warrior.
No matter what they are, they both go down 20. Okay. Now the one that doesn't happen is if I attack from this side, and I go 1, 2, 3, then it only does
It's just normal
attack, right? It has to be like this. So in other words, like the spear is going through one and hitting the other.
If I can also mention too, if it's right here, I could go 1, 2, then 3, enter and go line of attack. But it technically, yeah, if I moved over here, I don't enter the line of attack because there's not as a warrior behind. It'd just be normal attacking too.
All right, so now the catapult. Okay, so all right, go ahead.
All right, so to buy the catapult, you need to have 4 warriors in the graveyard. By the way, giant counts as 2 warriors in the graveyard. Yeah, if I want to buy the catapult, have my 4 warriors, I need 8 gold. I spend that 8 gold for 1 action to buy the catapult. Go in the reserve just like normal warriors.
1 action, buy it in reserve.
Another action is I could put it out onto the field. Let's say my dwarf is also in the reserve. I could then place my dwarf out onto the field.
And it moves the catapult forward.
Yeah. So the catapult, I don't know what I'm doing. The catapult can move up to 1 square forward per turn. It can't move more than 1 square.
But the warrior has to push him. So it has to be directly on the side or the back to push him. So one square forward each turn.
And
max.
yeah, that's 1 action. You can also move it 1 square to the side per turn. So say I were to move my spearman, I could move it for 1 action to the side. That's probably multiple turns showed in 1 turn, but
it could be in the same turn. You could have moved forward and sideways in the same turn. But it can only move once forward, once sideways, max in the same turn.
yeah. All right. Are we showing firing?
Okay, firing.
All right. To fire the catapult, you need to have a warrior directly behind the catapult. Once you have a warrior directly behind the catapult, you can spend 1 action.
And it comes with a projectile. When you first purchase it, it has a projectile automatically in it.
Yeah. So to fire the catapult, it has to be 4 squares exactly from the catapult. You place it on there. It can occupy the same space as a warrior.
It destroys the warrior, takes him out. The warrior's dead. And it gets the 8 squares around it. So it would get all of these 3. So in other words, if Andrew has a catapult and I see the catapult is coming, I'm going to scatter my guys, get them out of the way so that the catapult can't get them.
Yeah, it also eliminates friend info. Once you fire it, that's only 1 action, placing it in everything. It goes to the discard, and it can't be used again.
Rearming.
Yeah, rearming. If I have 6 gold, I can spend 2 actions to buy a projectile for 6 gold and 2 actions. And then once I buy it, immediately goes into the catapult, and it can then be fired again.
Yeah. Now, let's say I want to disarm the catapult. I can by landing on the catapult. So I have to go, so I have my spearman here. I could go 1, 2, 3. If I land on it, then it actually disarms it. It goes backwards, and it can't be shot or moved the rest of the game. Mm-hmm. My guy is still alive. Okay. Now, and I can land on this way, or I can land on that way. However, whichever way it works for the movement of your warrior.
Yeah.
Now, combat.
Yeah.
Let's say I'm here and I go 1, 2, 3. Okay.
And then next up, when it's my turn, I could spend 1 action, actually move the catapult over, and that would eliminate the spearman. He'd go to my graveyard, and that's how the spearman works.
And then actually Andrew would win here because he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, plus the giant counts as 2, so 9 to Andrew would win the game.
Yeah. Also, the catapult can eliminate 2 warriors at the same time. Friend or foe takes them both out. That's how that works. Can move forward too. Yeah.
And that is it. So thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for watching.